What?
I'm bored.
Okay, what do you want me to do about it?
Let's play something.
What do you want to play?
Let me check.
How about Wii Sports? That game is ancient. So is your fashion sense, but that doesn't seem to matter.
What?
You heard me. Well, I don't want to play that anyway. Whatever, I'm putting it in. Whoop-de-doo.
Hell yeah!
Do you ever just shut the hell up?
You've got to see my bowling skills. Get up.
Why?
You better take that sorry excuse for an outfit and get up.
Okay.
Jeez. I call this one the old razzle dazzle.
No! Oh my god. If you've breathed in the last 15 years, you've heard about the Wii. Back in the mid to late 2000s, this console was everywhere and everyone was playing it. Millions of people remember their experiences with it very fondly, and for good reason. This console was responsible for revolutionizing gaming itself, not just in the sense of the games, but in the overall stigma of the pastime as a whole. Nintendo has built up an impressive track record of giving people their first introduction to gaming, and the Wii was an extreme example of something different that changed the landscape and reputation of gaming forever. Let's talk about it. Prior to the Wii's reveal and release to the public, we obviously had the GameCube, and unfortunately, even though the console is remembered quite fondly today, it was considered to be a relative failure after its initial release, falling severely behind its competitors, the PlayStation 2 and original Xbox, in terms of overall sales. Obviously, after seeing this happen, Nintendo immediately began work on conceptualizing a new and hopefully more successful console. Instead of trying to compete with the other game console companies in terms of raw hardware power, Nintendo opted for the Blue Ocean approach when it came to the design of their next console. In layman's terms, the Blue Ocean approach is a strategy used in marketing and design in which a company attempts to create a product that essentially separates itself from its competitors in terms of its overall appeal. The goal is to create a quote-unquote uncontested market space instead of constantly trying to one-up the opposing side to stay afloat. In the case of Nintendo, this meant creating a console that prioritized new and interesting gameplay concepts over overall processing power. Hence the notion of making their competitors essentially irrelevant in their marketing space. In the eyes of many of the designers, the only thing that really mattered about the console was how good the games were, how fun they were to play, and obviously whether or not people would want to buy them in the first place. Sure, stunning next-gen graphics are impressive, but what's it matter if the game plays like you're wearing 2 jars of peanut butter for shoes? Early on in the Wii's development, former Nintendo president Satoru Iwata instructed executive developer Genyo Takeda to go off the tech roadmap with the design of this console, and also mentioned that it should be appealing to mothers? Obviously, the console itself wasn't the only thing being innovated upon for this next generation. Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of Mario himself, played a huge part in conceptualizing the design of the Wii Remote we all know today. He was instructed to utilize the motion sensing technology provided to Nintendo by partner company Gyration Incorporated to create this new method of input, which would obviously go on to be used in nearly every aspect of the Wii's experience, from the moment you boot into the home screen to navigating the Wii Shop channel and, most importantly, playing the games. The overall goal of this next-generation gaming machine was to appeal to the non-traditional audience, introducing many new people to gaming in a fun, simple, and engaging way, and it definitely worked. We can see Nintendo utilizing this Blue Ocean strategy even today with the Switch and its home console/portable console hybrid design. With every iteration of their hardware, including their portable variants, they aim to try something different than everyone else. Whether it works out in their favor, well, that's a toss-up so far. prior to Nintendo's E3 2004 press conference, Iwata had been referring to the successor to the GameCube as the GameCube Next. However, since it obviously was going to be way more than just a reiteration of that console, at E3 2004, he revealed a few details on the successor under the codename Revolution, with that name coming from his belief that the console will revolutionize the gaming industry as a whole. It wasn't given an official reveal at this event, but at E3 the following year, the Revolution finally saw its first unveiling. Well, the console at least. The controller didn't get revealed until later in 2005 at the Tokyo Game Show, since it wasn't ready for reveal at E3. The announcement of the Revolution included a demonstration from Iwata to emphasize the compact size of the console, in which he held 3 DVD cases together to visualize just how small it was, 1 in general and 2 in comparison to its rivals. The philosophy Nintendo had with this demonstration was to continue the attempts to appeal to families and non-traditional audiences, as the bulky and more advanced design of their competitors would not look as visually appealing in a family's living room, for example. Moving forward yet another year to E3 2006, we see the first official announcement of the console under the Wii title. Their explanation of this name change from the Revolution emphasized the easy pronunciation of the name in any language, decreasing any confusion between cultures. They also mentioned how Wii, W-I-I, obviously sounded like Wii, W-E, and that comparison greatly symbolizes the console's appeal to everyone. It's also apparent in many advertising campaigns that the 2 eyes in the name were meant to represent 2 people, as you can see them bowing in many videos marketing the product and its games. However, this name change was not met with positive feedback from many fans and journalists alike, resulting in a lot of criticism and mockery over the change to a supposedly inferior and, some even saying, juvenile title.
We have decided to give our console a more fitting name. Say hello to the Wii. Wii? As in wiener?
Finally, in September of 2006, the Wii was given a release date. The first region that would be getting the console was the United States on November 19th, and most other regions closely followed. However, some countries weren't able to get the Wii for several years due to various circumstances, such as, for example, video game console ban laws in China, which were very strict and not fully lifted until 2015. The Wii was originally priced at $249.99 USD, which was significantly cheaper than its competitors, with the Xbox 360 coming in at $299 for the base model and $399 for the premium one, while the PlayStation 3 was even worse, ranging from $399 at the lowest to $599 at the highest storage model at its release. Obviously, all of these consoles, including the Wii, saw price drops over their lifespan, but the Wii was always the cheapest, and that was yet another thing that helped it to appeal to families and non-gamers. The absurd prices of these other consoles, especially at launch, likely even drove core gamers and huge fans away, and was an unfortunate result of the foot race of pushing for the most advanced hardware of the generation, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in itself, but as you can see, can lead to some unfortunate circumstances. This is most likely the reason why the Wii saw a much more successful launch than the Xbox and PlayStation for this generation. Upon the Wii's release, many cases of predictable criticism came from various outlets dismissing the Wii for its weaker hardware. But luckily, this was not the majority of the reception for the console at launch. Many praised the Wii for its simplicity and ease of use. This praise came both for its new and intuitive control scheme and the easy to navigate interface, which has honestly become a legendary symbol of gaming at this point.
I think I need to check my pants.
Additionally, Will Wright, the creator of the Sims series, described the Wii as the only next-gen system he's seen, and thought of the Xbox 360 and PS3 only as successors to their predecessors with quote-unquote incremental improvement. Wright also went on to praise the Wii's ability to hit multiple different demographics other than just core gamers. The compact design described and demonstrated by Iwata mentioned earlier was also praised by critics, especially because of how bulky the other consoles happened to be at launch. However, like I said, there was a bit of criticism towards the Wii for its hardware capabilities, specifically the fact that the console didn't even run at an HD resolution, clocking in at a sad 480i resolution, which would be around this size on a standard Full HD 1080p screen commonly used today. On top of this low resolution, the graphics capabilities of the Wii were also significantly lower than average for the time period. For those who may not know, the lower the resolution that graphics render at, the less trouble the hardware has rendering it. So if the Wii was still struggling to exceed 30 frames per second in most cases at a 480i resolution, it kind of puts into perspective how far behind it was in terms of its capabilities, with it just barely surpassing the power of the GameCube. Nintendo even initially defended this choice, claiming that, back in 2006, HD TVs weren't even mainstream yet, and that the standard definition television was still the norm in the majority of homes. With hindsight on our side here, we can safely say that they may not have expected HD TVs to come into the mainstream as fast as they did, so the validity of that claim quickly crumbled within a couple years. Third-party developers also had quite a bit of trouble with the Wii's hardware, and not just in terms of the power limitations, but also with the unorthodox control scheme. This resulted in many third-party releases lacking the quality seen in other third-party releases on the competing consoles, which in turn turned off quite a few potential third-party developers to the idea of even attempting to develop for the Wii. But hey, at least we got Call of Duty Black Ops.
It's like I'm really using a gun.
Nintendo consoles have never been the best place to go for third-party games, but the Wii probably saw the most horrendous display of them in history. Commonly known as bargain bin trash or shovelware, these titles were the worst of the worst that the Wii had to offer, with some having so little effort put into them that you can't help but wonder how intoxicated the developers had to be to look at this game and go, yeah, this is good. But that's the greatest thing about these types of games. Playing them is kind of like intentionally watching a bad movie. You expect it to be horribly made and you laugh at the complete absurdity of it, because it's enjoyable. So you could either consider the infestation of shovelware on the Wii as an epidemic or a blessing in disguise. I'll let you decide. Another criticism that was common with the Wii was the claim that the Wii only targeted casual audiences and never catered to the core gamer. However, while it may seem like this at face value, there are plenty of games on the Wii intended for this demographic. Games like Xenoblade Chronicles, Zelda Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, Donkey Kong Country Returns, Monster Hunter Tri, and Metroid Prime 3 are just a few examples of games that are obviously not intended for casual audiences. Furthermore, even the casually leaning games had content for core gamers, such as completionist activities, higher difficulties, and other extra challenges that the average person probably wouldn't be interested in engaging in. Despite all these criticisms, the Wii outsold the majority of people's expectations. When it was all said and done, the Wii cemented itself as the 6th best-selling console of all time, with it being the only Nintendo home console so far to break 100 million units sold, which is even more impressive when you realize once again that it was marketed heavily as a family console, which means there probably was only around one in each household, and it was likely used by multiple members of the family, which obviously doesn't just include the kids. With this in mind, the potential reach of the console's popularity goes far beyond that sales number, and the amount of people it may have influenced and impacted becomes extremely substantial. The vast majority of homes, at least in my experience, had a Wii. Whenever I would go to anyone's house between, say, 2008 and 2012, they'd have a Wii, and if they didn't have one, it was almost odd to see. It was that much of a rare occurrence. Games like Wii Sports, Mario Kart, and Wii Play brought families and people together and allowed everyone to have fun, regardless of their skill level or understanding, because of how pick up and play the system really was. And that's what makes it special in my mind. Back then, it was extremely novel to me that there was a video game that I could play with my grandparents, that they would actually be able to pick up, understand, and enjoy with me with little to no instruction.
Hey Grandma, wanna come play Wii bowling with me?
Oh, sure, honey.
Back in 2006, Gaming as a whole still had somewhat of a stigma surrounding it. It was viewed as a relatively niche form of entertainment, almost universally being thought of as something that kids do, with many people even thinking that if you played games as an adult, you were some smelly basement-dwelling neckbeard without a job. Despite how absurd that sounds now, it was a pretty popular take back then, with many anti-video game campaigns still at large, viewing the pastime as some sort of laziness epidemic ruining the youth. It goes without saying that the Wii played a huge part in flipping that narrative on its head. The goal of the Wii was to spread the message that games are for everyone, young and old, from every background and walk of life. No matter who you are, there will be something that you can enjoy in playing a game, and that's a beautiful thing to think about.
Oh God. Oh God. Did you break the TV? The dog did it, I swear.